Welcome everyone to Laurentian University's Harquail School of Earth Sciences virtual open house. We're so glad to have you with us today. We hope that you'll have an informative and feel an inviting welcome from this event today. First of all, I would like to begin by acknowledging the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850. We further recognize that Laurentian University is located on the traditional lands of the Atikameksheng and Anishinaabe, and the city of Greater Sudbury also includes the traditional lands of the Wahnapitae First Nation. As descendants of settlers, we extend our deepest respect to all Indigenous people. Miigwech. First, to give you a little sense of how the next hour or so will unfold, our agenda. First, we're going to introduce you to everybody on our panel today and welcome you to the event. We're going to give you an overview of our school and the programs that we offer, an overview of the student experience that you can expect. We'll bring you along on a virtual tour, give you a sense of some of the very exciting scholarship opportunities that will be coming up for you, some of the careers that you may pursue going into earth sciences, look at our admission requirements and some important dates. If you have any questions throughout this time, you can ask and definitely put them into the live chat and someone will look after your questions for you. First of all, a little bit about me. My name is Lynn Bullock. I'm the communications manager at the Harquail School of Earth Sciences. I'm also a proud Laurentian University graduate, and I am from Sudbury originally, but I've lived in many cities around Ontario. Something that always brings me back to Sudbury is the fact that I love rocks, I love trees, and I love going on geology field trips. So you can see from the photos I've put into my bio slide, I love exploring, and something special about Sudbury is that there is so much to see within a very short drive or even hike from wherever you live. Next, I'd like to allow our Associate Professor and Director Doug Tinkum to introduce himself.
Thank you, Lynn. And thank you everyone for joining us today and watching the video here. My name is Doug Tinkum. I'm currently the director of the Harquail School of Earth Sciences and an associate professor of metamorphic geology. I obtained most of my education in the United States, and I moved to Canada in 2002, and I moved to Sudbury in 2005. And I've been at Laurentian University ever since I moved to Sudbury. I think Sudbury is a fantastic place. It's got great rocks. I'm a metamorphic petrologist, and I can drive 10 kilometers that way or 20 kilometers that way, and I have some world-class exposures of metamorphic rocks. And we'll talk a little bit more about that today as we teach you about the Harquail School of Earth Sciences and Laurentian University. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to our next participant, Paige.
Actually, it looks like Tobias is next.
Tobias. Tobias.
Hi. I'm not unsure of how I am visible. I'm outside of the Willet Green Miller Centre. Thank you, Lynn. And I'm holding my phone, so I'm providing the virtual tour right after. My name is Tobias Roth. My role at the Harquail School of Earth Sciences is the lab instructor and geoscience technologist. And I originally come from Germany, and I love my job because I get to do geological field trips. I get to teach first-year students and upper-year students some geological techniques and computer programming and 3D modeling. And I, on the side, am a soccer fan. So I do really, and I'm driven by the curiosity that takes me to work every day, discovering new things about Earth and Earth sciences.
Thanks, Tobias. We'll turn it over to Paige.
Hi, I'm Paige. I'm a second-year student here at Laurentian. I'm taking Earth Sciences. I'm also a graduate from the local school in Sudbury, Kadam. So I am from the area, but why not stay? And I'm also a scholarship winner. So that's something that really helped me throughout my years here so far, and I'm sure it's going to help me later I'm very grateful. A little bit about my experience so far. My first year was online because it was through COVID-19 and the school was shut down. However, our professors were kind enough to make little kits, so then we're able to actually learn physically with samples. So there's a little picture with my laptop and some samples for me to look at and actually be able to have in my possession. I also have a picture of a little microscope with some polarized light. That's from an open house that I was able to physically come to the school before before all of this started happening. All the other photos are from work up in northern Quebec. I was lucky enough after my first year to become employed by a company called Iron Gold in northern Quebec, and I was able to map, I was able to core log, do a little bit of geoteching. It was a fantastic experience. And of course, I had to put up something about the scholarships because that is something that is extremely important to me and that helped me a lot. So that's a little bit about it.
All right, thank you, Paige. Now for the folks that are joining us today for this video, we aren't exactly sure what do you understand at the moment about an earth science degree, where it could take you, what kind of career possibilities might lie in your future. So we wanted to let you know right off the hop that if you're considering this degree program and you're considering becoming a geoscientist, your options are as broad as the earth. If you are in high school now and you're thinking about where am I most talented, should I take a Bachelor of Science in chemistry or biology or go into engineering? We want to let you know that if you choose to pursue a degree in earth science, you get to do all of those types of things. So a degree in earth science is going to teach you chemistry, math, physics, bits of biology. You're going to need to know bits of geography. You're going to be uncovering the history of our earth. You're going to be learning to understand how geoscience plays a role in our own policy in terms of how we develop where communities should be, where it's safe to build bridges, when should we evacuate because of an imminent volcano or threat from the earth. Also, there's an incredible amount of data science. You might get into computer modeling, as Tobias touched on. You might get onto using artificial intelligence and machine learning to make the best use of the data that we have. So in a nutshell, you get to have a vast array of choices if you decide to choose a degree in earth science with us. And down the road, some of the jobs that you might have, we'll get into detail, but you might be doing mineral exploration, locating ore deposits. You might be working with mines, you might be working in government, but in any job, you're going to be working in a scientific capacity. You're going to need to do some science communication to communicate your results and work as part of a team. And you get to follow your passions. So diving into what does our undergraduate degree look like and what does it involve, I'd like to bring Doug back into the discussion. Doug, can you tell us about our programs?
Yes, thank you, Lynn. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the different programs that we offer, the educational programs in the Harquail School of Earth Sciences. I'll start with our undergraduate program, and then I'll also talk about our graduate programs. Our undergraduate program, we offer a Bachelor of Science in Earth Sciences. Our program is a traditional geoscience focused program. It does have a strong field focus because of our location and great rocks surrounding us. One of the things we do with our program is we ensure that we offer the courses that are needed for students to get a strong education in geosciences, but also to ensure that students who graduate from our program meets what's called the knowledge requirements to become registered as a professional geoscientist in Ontario, and in fact, all across Canada. In some jobs in the geosciences, whether it be in industry jobs or government jobs, sometimes to file certain types of reports with the government or to write certain types of reports for industry, The person writing those reports needs to be registered as a professional geoscientist. And so we ensure that our program meets those knowledge requirements so that when our students graduate from our program, they go on, they get a little bit of work experience, and then they can become registered as a professional geoscientist across Canada. Next slide. Now, we offer that undergraduate program in earth sciences, but we also are fairly strong on the research side within this particular school. We actually offer graduate programs. We offer 3 different options within our master's program, and we also offer a PhD program. 2 of the options in the master's program are in what we call the Applied Masters in Mineral Exploration. We have both a 1-year version of that and a 2-year version of that program. That's for students who specifically want to get a advanced understanding of the mineral exploration side of geosciences. We also have our traditional research-based thesis program at the master's level, where students are usually in-house for 2 years to complete a research project as well as their coursework and graduate with a master's thesis. Our PhD program, go back, Lynn, not quite done with that yet. Our PhD program is in mineral deposits and Precambrian geology. We have a fairly large student population in the PhD program. Go ahead, next slide, Lynn. I want to talk a little bit about student experiences, particularly at the undergraduate level. Students who come here in our programs in earth sciences, they do get quite a bit of opportunity to travel. We have undergraduate earth science clubs, and we also have graduate level clubs and associations. And the students in these groups, they get together and they plan international field trips. And pretty much every year, our students will go on an international field trip. In 2018, they went to the Southwest US. 2019, they went to Ireland. In 2020, they went to Colombia. And I remember years before they went to South Africa. So they do take international field trips. Now, of course, in the COVID area, we had a little more difficulty in getting those international trips arranged. This year, students have already organized and have gone on a trip to Bancroft. That's in Canada, and they went on a 2 to 3 day field trip and did quite a bit of mineral collecting. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the future, or with an upcoming speaker. Now, we don't actually have to travel very far to actually see some of the world's best geology. Some of the world's best geology is right in our back door. And in fact, on our campus, our building is located on top of great geology. And so we have, at the undergraduate level, we have 3 main geological field schools that students will attend. They are based out of Sudbury and within, on campus to maybe a 2-hour drive away. Students will go out and do various mapping exercises and see fantastic geology. I already mentioned there's great metamorphic rocks nearby, but in fact, if you're familiar with the different rock groups, we have great sedimentary rocks and we have great igneous rocks very close by, including igneous rocks associated with the Sudbury impact. And so we have great impact geology right here in our backyard as well. So students don't need to travel very far to get great field experience. In terms of summer field experience, many of our students will get summer employment, great experience. Some of them will work with some of our research programs. We have summer field mapping research groups that go out. Sometimes students will be field assistants on those research projects. Many of our students actually get industry summer field experience working with mineral exploration industry. And one of the things we have in our building that we're in, the Willet Green Miller Centre, we share this building with a government agency, and the Ontario Geological Survey, which is the main provincial geological survey, is based in this building. I'm on the 5th floor. We have classrooms on the 5th floor, 8th floor, 6th floor. And the Ontario Geological Survey, the geologists are on the 6th floor and the 7th floor. And so a lot of our students get to interact with these provincial government geologists throughout the year during their studies here. And many of them will get hired and get to experience a regional scale geological mapping summer. That's Ontario Geological Survey is known for doing large regional scale mapping programs, helicopter based, much of it in the north. And some of our students will get on as field assistants and get field experience that way. So what's the next slide there, Lynn? We're going to the virtual tour. So,
Yes, we are.
yeah. So go ahead and take it away, Lynn, and introduce Tobias.
All right. Our next feature in this presentation is a virtual tour. So I'm going to stop my screen share so that Tobias can take over. And he is going to start actually outside of the Willet Green Miller Centre, which is actually located just across the road from Laurentian University's main campus. So we have, as Doug had mentioned, a purpose-built geoscience building, which is where the majority of our classes are held. So Tobias, I'll let you take it from there.
All right, thank you, Lynn. So Doug was speaking about metamorphic rocks, and I was sitting on one just while he was speaking on it. So I had to think about gneisses while being introduced. And I love doing my geological field trips right on this campus where we have these decorative gneisses brought from ancient mountain ranges. You can find some alternating banding in here with some really neat garnets that only form in metamorphic rocks. And without further ado, we'll just go inside and explore there. So this is the main entrance. We have a nice canopy over it, and I'm putting on my mask so my sound will be a bit different, but I'll speak a bit louder as we go inside. So as Lynn said, it's a building that's shared between the university, the Ontario government, and other organizations. They all have to do with mining and geology. So we are very proud to be able to be in this building and have our students interact with professionals from all disciplines within the mining and geology sector. So this is the main lobby that is on the second floor. Down the lobby, we can find some very neat information about the rocks under our feet, including the floor that I'm walking on. It's an anorthosite mined from the region. And we do have also a piece of ore. In this case, it's silver ore. There's a lot of native silver in this big rock specimen. And that is brought in from cobalt. So it's a very neat geological artifact, and not really an artifact, sample that highlights that we are in the center of the Canadian Shield that has a lot of potential for metals. And I will speak about that a bit later. So here we have the list of our organizations that are within the building, including the auditorium. So while I'm in the elevator going to the 5th floor, I will mute myself just to avoid some interferences.
All right, while Tobias is riding the elevator, we aren't going to bring you to the basement, but Doug, tell our viewers what's down there.
Okay, well, yeah, the Harquail School of Earth Sciences, we occupy part of the 1st floor, which is the basement, all the 5th floor, part of the 6th floor, and the 8th floor. And we even occupy we have analytical labs over in another section of the building that it's sort of mixed in with the government analytical labs. Now, down in the basement, as a geologist, we go out in the field each summer and we collect these rock samples, and we have to process them. You know, many times we're analyzing them geochemically at the microscopic scale. And so down in the basement, we have our rock prep facility. That's where we cut our rocks into little chips and make thin sections. We have a thin section facility down there. We put rocks on a thin section in order to view them on microscopes, which you're going to see in a minute. We also have jaw crushers down there. So that's where we do sort of the dirty work of the sample prep. We do that down in the basement. And then when we get our samples ready, we bring them up onto the other floors to start to do our work on them there. And when Tobias is back, he's going to show you some of our student facilities that students get to use during their education.
So I'm at the administration office at the 5th floor right now, and I'm going to take you down the hallways to our diverse teaching labs. Our students are preparing for mineralogy midterm next week, so I'm going to peek into the Jim Davis Economic Geology Lab right here. So good to see everybody working hard on minerals. And further on, we'll go into the Earth Science Club room where Paige is greeting us from. So I'll avoid some interference, so I won't come too close. So this room is for students to lounge in, have some coffee, lunch, study, of course. And going further, we'll walk by some laboratories that are used specifically for research, mostly for economic geology. We have some fluid inclusions laboratories, some volcanology, ore deposits, more economic geology laboratories. And there's some facilities that have microscopes in them. So we'll peek into those. So here's one facility that we have microscopes in. And hello, you're on a virtual tour. And as we're walking through the hallway, come to the big microscope room where we're teaching optical microscopy. So in this room, we have 25 different microscopes that are used to identify minerals using polarized light. So we call this the mineralogy or microscopy teaching room. And we're continuing on to the other side. That'll take us to the 8th floor. So this 5th floor is mostly for the administration and for the teaching of microscope. And we have many graduate student offices as well. So again, I'll mute myself for the
So as Tobias takes his next elevator ride, Doug, I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about what it's like when you first show new students the view through the microscope.
Well, for many students, it's the first time they've seen rocks under a microscope. And you know what we do is we take a rock and we cut it and we glue it to a glass slide, and then we cut it off and we grind it down to where it's only 30 microns thick. It's a very thin slice of rock. And actually, when the minerals are that thin, light will transmit through them. And we use those microscopes that were in that lab. They're called polarized microscopes because the light has a polarizing filter in it. So it's polarized light that enters the mineral, and that light interacts with the mineral, the crystal structure, in particular ways, depending on the properties of the minerals. And you can see things at the microscopic level. You can actually see the boundaries between the crystals. You can see how those crystals grew relative to one another. You can identify which minerals are older or crystallized first and which minerals crystallized later. And it's a whole new world when we start looking at rocks at the microscopic level. We're used to seeing them at the map scale and out in the outcrop. But when we can really look at the fine details of the relationships between those minerals, it opens up a whole new world. And that's what we used to understand the evolution of the Earth back billions of years ago.
That's so fascinating and eye-opening when you start to think about the longevity of the Earth, and we are just a tiny speck in our lifetimes. So Tobias has now arrived on the 8th floor. So he is
the 8th floor.
Around. Yeah.
The 8th floor takes us first to the seminar room, which also serves as a student lounge. We have one student working hard here, and we're going to take very brief peek through the window that shows us beautiful Ramsey Lake, 8-kilometer long lake that is just outside of our building. And I think this room serves really well as a study space, coffee lounge. In non-COVID times, we have meetings here with our students, and we obviously very much enjoy those memories right now of pre-COVID times. So over here we have the Metal Earth office. Metal Earth is the biggest geoscience project that has ever been undertaken in Canada. And it's a $104 million multi-year project, and we are now in year 5. So next up, Cole, thank you. We have Cole speaking about his student experience We agreed on this beforehand, so you're on camera right now.
Awesome.
And we can hear you.
Perfect. Yeah. So as Tobias said, I'm Cole. I'm a second-year student here at Laurentian. Over the course of the second year, since it's been in person, I found that it's helped my learning a lot. We do a lot of hands-on stuff here. If you see there's rocks on the table, we've been using those in our various classes, like our mineralogy class, for example. And we even had field work, which really helps a lot with the hands-on learning aspect of things and really gives you a way to visualize things instead of just writing it down on a piece of paper.
Thank you very much, Cole. I'll go zoom in on these specimens that are all fossils found on the ocean floor originally. So this paleontology lab is containing a lot of diversity when it comes to Earth's history. And one of the oldest fossils that we can find on Earth would be these stromatolites. The organisms that make up these stromatolites are actually microscopic cyanobacteria that produce oxygen. So they are the ones that that provided the oxygen we breathe today in the atmosphere. This is Proterozoic time, before most of the evolving happened in life. So you can see these microbial mats are right in these layers. And obviously we cannot see those microscopic organisms, but we can see the sand and the clay that was trapped in these gooey mats of microbes. So from the Proterozoic, we have some archaeocyathides that are from the Cambrian period, found in Labrador. So over here we have some early reef builders. So just like the Great Barrier Reef from Australia nowadays, think of those kinds of reefs in the ocean. These organisms that were here were likely sponges, and they were one of the earliest organisms that were able to build reefs and allow for some biodiversity. So later on in the evolution of life, we go to Manitoulin Island, where we nowadays find these colonial corals. And if you can peek right into these, they're actually just like honeycombs, and you can see that on the surface as well. So these corals were from the Ordovician period, where reefs like the Great Barrier Reef were more ubiquitous on Earth. And these were housing corals. So evolution had very much diversified by then and brought about many more species, but still all in the ocean. So we know life started in the ocean, and this is the paleontology lab that explores mostly that, but also some mammals. We can find some very neat skulls here, for example. All right, so and I do want to mention that Dr. Elizabeth Turner, who teaches paleontology nowadays, she found just this year was a big major publication about the earliest animal life found on the planet. So that is likely also a sponge 890 million years ago. So we'll leave the paleontology lab. Thank you, Cole. And we'll go to the structural lab, where we focus on Earth structures like faults and bedding planes, and where we learn the techniques of structural geology. So over here, there's the fourth of our teaching labs, where we teach structural geology using stereo nets and other techniques, and we come to understand how earthquakes work and how rocks deform over tectonic processes. So I'll conclude my tour for now. I'll stay on as soon as I'm back in my office. You'll see me again, and I'll be able to answer some of your questions.
Thank you so much, Tobias. That was so enjoyable, all of those different samples that you were able to show us. Wonderful. And you know, it really helps us move into the content of our next slide, which is actually all about research. Because just as you might in other fields like engineering or medicine, choose engineering or medicine as kind of a program, but then you might want to specialize. And so similar to those areas, earth science has so many areas of specializations And I'd like to ask our director now to go over some of our biggest strengths in research fields at the Harquail School of Earth Science.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. This is good after seeing all the facilities and the samples there. As I mentioned earlier, we do have both master's programs and PhD programs. So the faculty, the postdoctoral researchers, and the graduate students, we do quite a bit of research. We're one of the stronger research units on this campus. In one way, our research strength is really in ore deposits and mineral exploration. We do research in many other fields of geosciences. And sometimes this research is on the ore deposits themselves, but many times the research is on the rocks that surround the ore deposits, where we're studying geophysics, the deformation of the rocks, structure and tectonics, the mineralogy and the petrology of the rocks. And we study those rocks to give us clues on how those ore systems formed over time and how they evolved over time. We do have strength in geophysics, structural geology, mineralogy and petrology, sedimentary geology, paleontology. Dr. Alessandro Rielpi and Dr. Elizabeth Turner are doing a significant amount of work in that area and doing some quite high profile research. And we also are doing quite a bit of work in data analytics, artificial intelligence applied to ore systems. And a lot of this data analytics and artificial intelligence, Lynn, if you go to the next slide, is associated with this Metal Earth research project that Tobias indicated earlier. Our unit has always had a strength in mineral exploration research, and affiliated directly with our Harquail School is the Mineral Exploration Research Center. This is a research center where we collect much of our research in mineral exploration. We have close ties with the mineral exploration industry. We have industry partners as well as government partners who take part in the MERC, the Mineral Exploration Research Center. And it is the administrative nucleus that hosts this large Metal Earth research project. This is a 7-year project, maybe 8-year project. We received both federal funding as well as provincial funding and as well as industry funding to basically funds a $104 million research project over 7 years. And many of our graduate students and our postdoctoral researchers are funded under this program. Not all, we definitely have quite a bit of research that's being done outside of Metal Earth as well. But right now, this is one of our largest research projects going on within the Harquail School. In fact, it's one of the largest geoscience projects within Canada. So with that, I think I'll turn it back to Lynn, who's going to talk about careers in earth sciences.
Thank you, Doug. It's true. I mean, we've talked a lot about research opportunities through our presentation today, because that is something that our professors are highly engaged in, as well as many of our students are actually graduate students. Many of them have fully funded study opportunities because they're engaged in particular projects. Now, I want to give you a view of the vast opportunities that you can get into. And just highlighting that this photo that we have here, that's an example of one of our graduate students out in the field doing research. She considers that her job. And so she's fulfilling a passion right there. I want to shine a light on some jobs that you perhaps never even thought existed. For example, a sedimentologist, a mining geologist, an economic geologist. You may know a geologist in your life and have a vague idea of what they do. But many of these careers are highly technical, highly scientific. They pay quite well. And if you remember one big thing about this career slide, I want you to know that there haven't been enough geologists in the world to fill all the roles that are needed in geology for a number of years. And that is one big reason that we're running the Metal Earth project, is to help raise opportunities for young people to get into this industry, because we need to continue to extract resources. We need to continue to learn how to do a more sustainable job of it. So all of these are different careers that you could get into. I want to highlight to you, if you're the type of person that is interested in sustainability, many geoscientists get into jobs with companies where they are looking at mine site remediation. They're making sure that mines remain in compliance with regulations. Many of these careers are global, where you can do a lot of exploring around the world. But if that's not your jam, and what you'd prefer to do is have kind of a more stable routine and you know, stick in one area, you can have a really rewarding career doing things that you are with one company, you stay in one town or city, metropolis even, and work in jobs like laboratory technology, 3D computer modeling, data science, or run your own consulting firm. So as I wanted to point out, just before I move on, your career options in this field will continue to evolve as technology evolves. There's a lot of innovation coming from industry. And the bottom line is, there are so many choices, you really get to write your own ticket in this type of career. Another opportunity that I wanted to flag for everyone who's considering entering our degree program in September 2022 is that we will have $5,000 scholarships available for 4 incoming students in this September 2022 term. So these are for students that are entering with an 80% average or higher. And we just need you to submit a short letter about why you wanted to study earth sciences at Laurentian University. Do apply, and I'm going to remind you a little bit more about that as we move on. But these are very generous scholarships. $5,000 is a tremendous boost to support your studies. Now, how do you get into our program, you might ask? What do I need? I'm going to turn this slide over to our director, Doug.
Thank you, Lynn. Listed on the screen are our general entrance requirements for the program. They are sort of a standard set of requirements for sciences. Some of the different science and engineering disciplines vary a little bit, but this is sort of the standard requirement for sciences. One grade 12 English course, grade 12 for you advanced functions course, grade 12 science course, additional math or science courses, and a minimum overall GPA of 70% from the 6 best grade 12 courses. So this is a standard set of requirements. And if you have any questions on the specifics of those requirements, you can contact us at the Harquail School or the liaison office at Laurentian University. Lynn?
Thanks, Doug. And I just wanted to add before we move on to this slide, the next one, if you are not an Ontario high school applicant, we also have more information for you about how to apply if you're from another province or another country. All right, still sticking with Ontario high school students and the key dates and deadlines for them. In Ontario, if you're applying to university and you want to make it in for fall, you should definitely apply by January 13th, 2022. So that's the date that all universities set for you to apply so that you get first or equal consideration into your programs of choice. These are great deadlines to stick to because it gives you enough time to wait for an offer, decide to accept your offer, get more details about the program. One thing I wanted to add is if for some reason you miss January 13, do not dismay. Our program's open enrollment. We don't cap the number of students who come in. So if you miss January 13, apply anyway. But January 13 is going to help you on your way to applying for those Harquail BSc scholarships as well. So by March 2022, we'd also encourage you to email your application letter for a Harquail BSc scholarship. So just some important deadlines that you can maybe put into your phone around Christmas time, start figuring out where would you like to apply, and we hope it's with us. If you have questions about anything we've told you today, if you're trying to determine if earth science is right for you, if you're trying to determine if Laurentian is right for you, we really just want to make sure you find the right fit for yourself. So feel free to ask any of us anything. Ask us questions in the chat, email us, follow us on social media, message us there. We're happy to help. So opening it up for any questions. Not seeing any. So I'll move on for just 2 important facts about Laurentian that you might not know. One is, if you're thinking about investing in your university career, it's a big investment of time and money. You want to make sure you get a job at the end. As I mentioned to you, in geoscience, there are a lot of jobs. There's a tremendous amount of demand, and all of our students actually are employed over the summer, usually in their field if they want to be. Now, at Laurentian, across the entire university, 94% of graduates find meaningful employment within 6 months of graduation, which is a terrific level of probability that you will be A-okay after completing your degree at Laurentian. And another thing about the university on the whole is it's #1 in Ontario for the highest salary outcomes. So graduates from Laurentian seem to make more money than those of any other university in the province. So that's fantastic. And I might just say it could be, I don't know the answer, but it could be because many of our graduates come from specialized schools like ours, like Harquail School of Earth Sciences, where when you graduate, you know that there are excellent career opportunities, lucrative career opportunities for you once you're finished. Now, our liaison team at Laurentian is always ready to take your questions. They are dedicated to you. So if you would like to find out more about the entire campus, the entire Laurentian experience, those are the people to reach out to. And definitely reach out to us if you have specific questions about earth sciences or the Harquail School of Earth Sciences. And that is about it for us today. I just want to thank all of our panelists for joining us and ask them if they had anything else to add before we wrap up.
Well, I'll just say thank you everybody for joining today. I hope we gave you a good view of what the Harquail School of Earth Sciences is, what Laurentian is, what a career in geosciences might look like. I believe there's lots of opportunities here. If you like the outdoors, the field, we have great opportunities for you. If you like becoming involved in research in your 3rd or 4th year or even 2nd year, we have good opportunities for you as well. So feel free to contact us with any questions.
All right, thank you, Doug. And I see our other panelists are muted at the moment, so we'll take that cue that we're ready to wrap up. So thank you, Paige, Tobias, and Doug, and everyone for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. Don't be shy to reach out.